All right, welcome everybody. This is your boy Derek Brown, and we here again with the Playbook channel. If it's your first time, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome again. And this is, like I said, your boy Derek. So today we're gonna have a guest here. You can introduce yourself here.
Mark?
Okay, we got my son Mark, and today we're just gonna get right into it. You know how we do, man. It's the Playbook channel. So Mark, tell me about yourself. Introduce yourself to the audience and let them know who you are and everything like that, man. How's it going?
Everything's going good. I'm Mark again. Me and Derek's actually in a fantasy league together, so that's kind of how we linked up for this episode. And yeah, we've been playing fantasy for a while now. We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
For a very long time. So yeah, we're here.
Yeah,
So,
man. Yeah, man. It's good to have you. You know what I'm saying? This is it's an honor for you to be here. We just here going to talk about some fantasy football. We're going, talk about last week. We're going to talk about some expectations for next week. And we just going to get it rolling. Just get it rolling. But before we do that, I want to ask you a quick question. So I have a question regarding fantasy football or football in general, right? So, what is your first football memory and or what got you hooked into football and or fantasy football? You know what I mean? Because everybody knows about football, but not everybody knows about fantasy. So,
well, it was a few things. One, my first football memory of me actually watching the full game was actually a long time ago in 1998, I believe.
Okay.
It was the Denver Broncos versus the Green Bay Packers Super Bowl. And I was in school. I don't remember how old I was, elementary school, obviously. And it was homework. We had to go home. 97?
98.
98. I think January 24th or something like that, 1998, somewhere around then. But it was the first Super Bowl because that year the Broncos won and they two-peated the year after.
Okay.
But yeah, it was homework at school and like current events. You had to read the newspaper, cut the article out and all that. But this time around, it was current events with the Super Bowl, so you had to watch it and write a report or whatever and turn it into school on Monday. So that was my one of my earliest memories that sticks out now at my age, obviously, of what I can remember. So another thing is too, we have a big sports family, so sports was always on in my household.
Right.
My older brother played football in high school.
Okay.
So, yeah, sports has always been around. And then going up to about, I would say, 10 years ago at least, that's when I started getting into fantasy football. And the only reason I got into it because, one, you always heard about it.
Right, everyone.
Yeah, you always heard about it. So I was like, all right, let's try it out. And then I actually got more hooked into the game with playing fantasy football because now you're not just watching your favorite team or the game of the week or you know what I'm saying, the primetime games. Now you're watching everything and you're keeping up everything, and it made it a little bit more excited rooting for specific players on your team versus your favorite team overall. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, I mean, just as a general rule here, do you prefer fantasy or do you prefer regular football, like without fantasy? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think I can watch regular football without fantasy anymore.
Yeah, it's a drastic change once you start playing fantasy football because you analyze the game completely differently. So, I mean, it's just, I was just kind of curious because, some people say, I still miss, rooting for my team or whatever, but fantasy football, you analyzing every team, every player, every stat, so it's completely different. So, yeah, but like I said, man, it's great to have you here, welcome, this is the Playbook channel, of course. But yeah, we're going to move into our first segment of the day, which is Can You Believe It? Right? So that's just a little bit of some expectations that we had of the current week coming up, and then some, highlights of the previous week. So the first thing I want to kind of talk about here is I want to ask you a question. So which team exceeded expectations this weekend, and what was the key to their success? And I'll tell you some of mine if because the first game I would kind of highlight would be the Lions and Cowboys, which was a heck of a game, man. They massacre is to say the least.
Well, I knew it was going to get spanked in the first place. I didn't know they was going to get murdered. you know what I mean? But even so, with that, a game that people weren't too excited about was the game this past Thursday, and that goes back to what we were saying. Fantasy football makes the game more exciting.
Absolutely.
So I was tuned into that game because I started Denver's defense, and they exceeded expectations for me. So
okay,
I wasn't surprised. They're one of the top 2 defenses right now in the league. But the odds were saying that New Orleans had the slight edge over them.
Yeah,
and they got murdered themselves. So
yeah, it was a unfortunate turn of events, I would say, because not only did they get smacked, Javonte Williams was balling.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Nobody expected him. So, it was a good thing that the people started him, basically, because some people were getting tired and was ready to bench him.
Yeah.
I
will say this. I in the beginning of one of my episodes, and I guess like in the early part of my seasons, I really said that Javonte Williams is gonna have the season of his life, because not only in 2022 he's coming off an injury, right? So he was injured that whole year. He comes back now. He's fully healthy. He wants to prove himself. They got a triple backfield or whatever. So he's sharing his time as it is. So he has something to prove. So I knew it was only a matter of time before he came out and he was going to show people, like, okay, this is my backfield. I'm going to show you how we do it, and I'm going to show you why I deserve this lead role. You know what I mean? So Javonte Williams, he put up some good numbers, man. I think he scored 2 touchdowns, and I think he had like 88 yards, and it's like it's crazy, man. Because
on prime time.
Yeah, man. He knew what time it was. He came out to play, and he did what he needed to do. So shout out to Javonte Williams for sure. But in reference to this Lions and Dallas game, man, I have no words. Yeah. That game was a massacre, like you said, Phil. But it's just I have no idea what happened. There's so many things wrong with this scenario, right? So Dak, he got paid. CeeDee Lamb got paid. You would think they would be on point with everything, but they aren't. How do you feel about them? Like,
I feel like they just need to feed that boy the ball, man. That's what you paid him for. That's what you paid CeeDee Lamb for.
Yeah.
Right? And feed that boy the ball, man. And if I'm not mistaken, they got him for a steal, right? In the draft, right?
Yeah.
They got him for a steal, and he got paid. Feed that boy the ball, man.
Yeah, it's
and it doesn't help too that they don't got no running game. You know what I mean? But
yeah, and that's the sad part. I mean,
their defense is trash this year. I don't know why they're hyping up the defense like that. Their defense is trash this year.
They got Rico Dowdle though.
Yeah, they do.
They got Rico Dowdle. So I mean, he's not. I talked about this in one of my previous episodes. Rico Dowdle's not. He's not a slouch, but he's not like no Derrick Henry or you know what I'm saying. But
what he was supposed to do was, in your mind when Zeke is there.
Yeah.
At some point in time, you got to show out and take over that team.
Absolutely.
And he didn't do that, and he hasn't done it yet, at least. You know what I mean? So,
and they traded Tony Pollard, so I mean, he's doing decent over there. And so
he's doing a lot better over there than he was in Dallas last year.
But I mean, Dallas is getting cooked no matter what. It's a horrible season for them this year, man. But yeah, I mean, we can move on to the next team now. Okay, this is a good one, man. The Bills and Jets. Now, a lot of people were expecting Aaron Rodgers to come out there and ball. Let me not even say that. A lot of people was expecting Aaron Rodgers to go out there and get smacked by Josh Allen. Let me say that, right? So the fact that he came out there and he held his own against Josh Allen, they still lost. It was 3 points. It wasn't like they got blown out or anything like that, but they still lost. But he held his own. I mean,
that just shows that Josh Allen is Josh Allen, even though I don't like him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's still talented, obviously. You know what I mean? And he can do it without a number 1 wide receiver, which he has now. So,
yeah, man.
Trade.
Man. So, I mean, I was going to hold off for this, but we could kind of just jump into it.
Yeah, we're talking about the Jets and Buffalo, right?
We got to, right? So, I mean, for all my viewers who may not know or may know, Aaron Rodgers just accumulated Devontae Adams, and Josh Allen just got Amari Cooper in a trade. So I think that their value has gone up significantly, especially Aaron Rodgers, considering that he has Garrett Wilson already, he has Breece Hall, he has Braylon Allen, he has
everything.
He has everything.
What else does he want? You know what I'm saying?
Their defense is crazy.
Yeah.
This is the type of team.
To be honest with you, though, I'm expecting bigger things from Buffalo with that trade than the Jets. I think the Jets are going to be kind of at that same level, maybe a little bit better with Devontae Adams. But that's about it. You know what I'm saying? I think Buffalo, they held their own without a number one wide receiver. James Cook been balling. You know what I mean?
He was injured a little bit for a little bit, but he's back now.
Yeah, he had a toe injury last week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's expected to play this week. But yeah, with that solid number one wide receiver, I think that puts Buffalo up there now.
So let me ask you this question then. So if we was to do this game over again, right? The Bills versus the Jets, with the trades already happening, who do you think would have won that game? Yeah, see that's a mind banger right there.
Because of fantasy purposes, last week I didn't want the Jets to win.
Okay.
Just because I was down and I was up by 1 point, and it coming in Monday, I had James Cook, who was ruled out right before the game. So I was kind of stuck between Gabe Davis and Ray Davis. I'm sorry, and the other running back. What's his name again?
For who? For the
Buffalo.
Oh, I don't even remember his name.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, because Ray Davis is the second string. He's a rookie, first of all. So.
Yeah, he's a rookie.
Yeah.
So I last minute I had to plug somebody in. Of course, I didn't pick Ray Davis because he hasn't done nothing all year. And all of a sudden, that game he goes off. I actually, if you notice in the chat, in the waiver, I actually picked him up, and I thought about it. And last minute, I dropped him and picked the other guy up.
Yeah.
And that screwed me over. And then buddy I was playing had Buffalo's defense, so I needed Jets to win that game. But to answer your question, I think if that game was replayed, I think Buffalo would still win.
You think so? Okay.
I think so.
I think more or less it will be a better game. It wasn't a bad game to begin with, but it will be an even better game. I think that will be a shootout because again, now they got Garrett Wilson, they got Alan Lazard, they got Devontae Adams on the Jets versus Keon Coleman. They got Amari Cooper. I just feel like it would just be one of those games where it's like not Super Bowl level, but it'll be a high-scoring game. You know what I mean?
Well, they'll play again at the end of this year, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's going to be a game to watch for sure. And before we move on to the next team here for the expectations and game recap, I do have one more question. Now that Devontae Adams is on the Jets, who do you think is going to get the ball less, more or less? Because somebody's not going to get the ball. You know what I'm saying?
I was reading reports today that a lot of teams inquired to the Jets about if they want to trade Garrett Wilson because of Devontae Adams being there.
Okay.
I don't think that would be a good idea. I think you should just keep both of them.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be spread out. What I've seen so far from Aaron Rodgers is he's spreading the ball out, and he doesn't really have a favorite target. You know what I mean? So, of course, with Devontae Adams being there, that's his favorite target of all time.
Right.
You could only assume that he'll be the guy to answer your question.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you got Garrett Wilson and you got Devontae Adams. One of them is going to be open.
Yeah. Somebody's going to be open. And it's going to be horrible for the defense because whoever get open, they running for at least 60 yards. Yeah. It's going to be nasty. But, okay, I was just kind of curious just about that. For me, I personally feel like between the three, between Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, and Alan Lazard, I personally feel like Alan Lazard may get the short end of the stick just because Garrett Wilson has been there he's been that guy on that team while Aaron Rodgers was hurt that whole year last year, and he's kind of just had to hold the team on his back. And then Devontae Adams, he has good rapport with him. But then again, there's also rapport with Alan Lazard because he played with him in Green Bay. So, I mean, I just feel like for some reason Alan Lazard might get the short end of the stick.
He kind of already has the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Look at his targets. He doesn't have a substantial amount of targets per game.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he's so quick, and he's a deep threat.
Yeah.
And didn't he catch the Hail Mary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
52-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
By the way, which I'm in a multiple leagues, but that won me my week in one of my leagues, bro. And I didn't even start Alan Lazard. That's the crazy part. I had Alan Lazard and Aaron Rodgers in one of my leagues. I had Aaron Rodgers, but that 52-yard touchdown Hail Mary won me my week. So, yeah, I can't really be mad at that. But, yeah, I think that was a interesting little thing. But, Aaron Rodgers is good for them Hail Marys, though. Yeah. So, I mean, to your point, Alan Lazard is kind of like a Shaheed from the Saints, which brings me to my next team, the Bucks and the Bucks and the Saints from last week, who also got smacked by a crap ton of points. It was like 51-27, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question, right? How do you feel about Baker this year? He has been balling, in my opinion. I think
he's been balling year after year. He's just been climbing and climbing. You know what I mean? He was that stud right off the bat. But he keeps getting better every single year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't see you see positive outlook from him.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have the most touchdowns passes for the season, right?
I believe so. Every game he has like 3 or 4 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
And Mike Evans I think Mike Evans was injured in one of those games. So I mean, he's not even throwing the ball just to him. He's throwing it to a lot of people. So yeah. I think Baker
they're a
is doing
tough
good.
team. They're a tough team. Tampa Bay right now. So I think they're gonna go far this year.
Absolutely. Do you think they're going to the Super Bowl?
I don't know. They were close last year, right?
Oh yeah, they were.
So you never know. It is football. Anything can happen in a one-game knockout playoff.
Right. Okay, so I mean, we can move on to the next thing where we have. So, which team or player do you predict will surprise everyone next week? So we have a few games, and before we, I don't want to, just jump into that without, bringing up the list of games, or I have them here. Matter of fact, let me just bring my laptop over here. Bring it over here so we have a better view of the games, and I can explain to you, or we can have a better, conversation about this. So I think the biggest surprise for me, I think would be, well, okay, let me put it like this. The game I'm looking forward to, the 2 games I'm looking forward to is the Houston and Green Bay game and the Lions and Vikings game, right? So which team out of those 2 teams those 2 games do you feel would win the game?
I'm going Houston for Houston Green Bay.
Okay.
Not by much.
Yeah.
It's a close one to me.
Yeah.
But not by much. There's just too much talent over there in Houston, especially with Mixon coming back last week, and he's looking like he never left. And he's picked up right where he left off. So I think that running game might be the edge for Houston versus Green Bay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. But before you get into the next pick, I want to ask you a question though. So think about it like this, right? So Green Bay, they lost Jordan Love for a little bit this year, right? And they held their own. Do you think that they can't hold their own against Joe Mixon?
I think they can. I think they can. That's why I said it's not by much. It's by a hair.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think that one could go either way. I think the same thing about both games. It can go either way.
Okay.
Because that Vikings defense is tough, man. It's tough. But the Lions have a little bit more weapons, so I give the edge to the Lions. So my pick for those 2 games will be the Lions and Houston.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay or Vikings won.
Okay. I'm going to be very honest. I am very biased when it comes to Houston and Green Bay because I like C.J. Stroud, man. That is a bad
I love C.J. Stroud, man.
Yeah.
I'm a little biased with Houston too.
Yeah.
And I was a big Nico guy in his rookie year, and I took him in, and everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy, bro. And sure and behold, he started balling. So, but with his absence, Tank Dell picked up. He had the most targets last game.
Yep, he sure did.
He had the most targets last game. They're just talented over there. They got a lot of players, man.
I will say that Dalton Schultz has not been performing as much as he was last year.
But I assume that would happen because there's so much talent over there, and the tight end usually gets the short end of the stick when there's that much talent. You know what I mean? Unless you're one of the big name tight ends. You know what I mean? But
even still, look at it this way. That's like an Evan Ingram or Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, he had. I mean, to your point, he has been getting kind of the short end of the stick, but people always say, "Oh, it's Mark Andrews. He's this, or they're saving him for playoffs." Or
he balled out last week.
He got a touchdown last week, I think. So I mean, it's just. I guess it's the luck of the dice when it comes to them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel you, but I still feel like Dalton Schultz, he's open a lot of the time. I see him a lot of the times during these like these replays when they like replaying the down or whatever, he's open. So it's not like he's not open. I just guess CJ Stroud just feels he has a better option to pass the ball to him, but he gets the short end of the stick, which is unfortunate for him.
Yeah. Well, I believe CJ Stroud is going to show throw it to the best possible option. So
yeah, I
have full faith in that offense. So
yeah, man, it's crazy. So, I mean, like I said, for me, my pick would probably be between the Vikings and the Lions. I would probably also go Lions. I just personally, I mean, let me say this. The Vikings are undefeated right now, but the Lions are 4-1, I think, right? So they're pretty up there.
That's why I said I won't be surprised if the Vikings wins. You know, Sam Darnold's been doing good.
Yeah.
And Justin, the last time they played, I looked up these stats last year. It was this year in January, last time the Vikings and the Lions played. And if you want to just look up the stats real quick, but Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown, it was their show. It was their show. They both had over 100 yards. They both had touchdowns. You know, it was just a straight-out shootout. You know what I'm saying?
And this is from last year.
And that was from not last season, but this year, January. That game was a very close game, and I'm expecting it to be the same way this year. So the Vikings probably got a little a chip on their shoulder, a little revenge game for them. And now they got the number 1 defense in the league. So
yeah. But you know what I think, though? I mean, I'm still looking this up here. I just want to make sure, we want to fact check everything. I don't want to, feed anybody any false information here. But I do say that although the Vikings has a relatively better defense, the Lions' offense is crazy, bro. Like
that 1-2 punch on the floor, that running game.
And it's wild because
they both eat fantasy-wise.
Crazy. You would think one would get less than the other, but no, there's no way. Yeah. Jahmyr Gibbs is more explosive than David Montgomery, but David Montgomery, he gonna punch it up the gut.
I know you seen that trade I made for Jahmyr Gibbs this week.
Oh man, I can't believe the fact that you got Jahmyr Gibbs and you already stacked is crazy to me. But
bro, I got Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Mixon, James Cook.
Yeah. It's not looking pretty.
Brian Robinson.
Yeah. It's gonna be a nasty season for us, especially going towards the playoffs.
Yeah. And now I got Kyron Williams.
Yeah, that was a nasty.
How do you have all those running backs in one team?
Yeah, on your bench with your depth. That's crazy.
Yeah, good trades.
Yeah, no, that's silliness on this in the league, bro. I don't want to hear good trades. But okay. So what we're gonna do
for me?
Well, for you, of course. So what we're going to do is we're going to move into our next segment, right? We're going to move into our stardom.
Start a ride.
So, yes, we have a few people that I kind of want to talk about that I would want to start or I would want to sit. The first person I want to kind of talk about is Tyreek Hill, right? Now.
You want to sit him?
I personally feel that you can't sit Tyreek Hill, not because
you gotta have some balls to bench Tyreek.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yo,
and he showed out the last 2 weeks as far as fantasy numbers go.
But
so you can't do it this week.
But it's crazy because I'm in, like I said, I'm in a multitude of leagues this year, and they're all like, "Nah, we ain't starting Tyreek Hill. He don't got a quarterback." But you can't. But
you can't.
You can't do that. Like in the draft, I guarantee you, he went either 2 or 3. 2 or 3, without question. There's no way he dropped the 4. Again?
They Jacksonville, right? No.
No, Miami's playing the Colts.
The Colts. Yeah, start Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
I'll start him.
You
got the Colts.
You have to.
Yeah.
You cannot not start Tyreek Hill. And the fact that people are just like, oh, well, he don't got a quarterback, it's crazy. It's Tyreek Hill. If he gets open, he's the cheetah. He gonna be out. He's gonna get the yards. I think personally.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
And I mean, and the fact that we're even still on the Miami Dolphins, we got to talk about Devon Achane because he's another one. Start him, sit him. Would you start him?
You got to start him if he's on your team. I mean, I'll sit him.
Yeah, see, look.
I'll sit him.
Look, so this is what I'm saying.
See, when you ask me these questions, I always refer back to my team and how, how deep I am as far as depth go.
Okay.
So you should have prepared, I feel like.
To not start him.
You should have prepared when drafting him to set somebody up or to set up your running back depth.
Okay.
If you picked him up. You know what I'm saying? Especially with his injuries and all of that.
He's
so
injury prone.
You should have been prepared on your fantasy team to have running back depth if you did draft Achane.
But I feel the fact that he's coming back from a concussion, so that's nothing to be taken lightly, which is crazy because I feel like everybody on the Dolphins is getting hit with concussions. They smacking the Dolphins on that field.
The whole league's getting concussions, bro.
Yeah. We gonna get into the injury report a little bit later, but it's nasty out here this year. But Devon Achane, if they're saying that he cleared concussion protocols and he's not healthy, but like he's up to speed, he practiced full time. He's not limited. It wasn't like he didn't have a no contact practice or whatever, and he's up there. Why would you not start him though?
Yeah, and thinking about all that stuff now that you said, especially things I'm thinking about right now, I go back on what I said. I think you do have to start him because of Huntley.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna kind of fall back on that running game a little bit and kind of utilize them as far as getting points on the board.
Absolutely.
And picking up yardages and stuff like that. So. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky situation, but like I said, if you drafted him, you should have been prepared as far as the depth goes, and you got to weigh your options out and, see who has the better matchups.
Yeah, and I think that the fact that they're playing the Colts this week, considering that the Colts defense is not up to par.
They're not up to par, but they know how to get to that quarterback, boy.
Yeah, this is true.
The Colts know how to get to that quarterback.
That's true. Yeah. But with them blitzing like that, somebody gonna be open. Yeah. And Tyler Huntley, he ain't he ain't no Tua, but he can at least throw the ball a little bit. Yeah. And if they blitzing him like that, somebody gonna be open. Yeah. And God forbid if it's Tariq Hill, it's over. Or Jalen Waddle, or who's the tight end for Miami? I think it's what's this dude's name? I forget his name already. But yeah, or the tight end. Like it's like what, and obviously, and also if you blitz a lot, you can run up the gut because they all coming from the outside for the most part. So if you blitz and he runs up the middle, Devon Achane can take that for 30, 40 yards. Yeah. So I mean, I just think that's gonna be a interesting game considering that we ain't getting to the injury report yet. We gonna get into that, but the fact of they wide receivers are down right now. Their three main wide receivers are down right now. Yeah. And then they got their quarterback who came back, Anthony Richardson, but Joe Flacco is out.
Flacco's out with an injury?
No, he's not out with an injury, but I'm saying
he's out because
they starting Richardson,
Yeah, he's a bum, bro. He's a bum. I regret drafting him. I was thinking he's going to do big things this year. I dropped him ASAP. Yeah. I dropped him like 2 weeks ago.
I did. I dropped him, and I had him in 3 leagues, and I dropped him in all 3, which is kind of crazy because I drafted him pretty high, and not high, but high enough for him to be getting dropped in the middle. Not even week 7. I
drafted him in like the 5th round. I could have did a lot of things in the 5th round.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So okay. So I kind of want to get into some waivers here. I mean, it is after the fact here. It is a little bit later in the week. As we're shooting this, but. Who do you have any sleepers or anybody on the waivers that you made?
He's not a sleeper no more. I was looking at him since week 1. I was looking at Tyrone Tracy.
Good one. That's
my guy.
A nice one.
That's my guy. He's doing big things. And of course, Singletary. He's a decent and solid running back, but we know he can't run a team. He can't throw a team on his back. So it's only eventually. For this young guy to come in. And he came in. He ran for over 100 yards in week 1. Yeah. He did it again, back-to-back in week 2. Ran for over 100, and he scored his first touchdown.
Yeah. He's hungry. So, in the fact that...
I think he's going to do his thing against the Eagles. Yeah. My opinion.
Yeah, and in the Eagles, I mean, this is my opinion here, but I think the Eagles, they're going to try to show out a little bit because... first of all, they got Saquon Barkley, right? Saquon Barkley was, I mean, for the viewers who may or may not know this, Saquon Barkley was on the Giants. So for the fact that him being on the Eagles now, that's going to be an emotional game. A lot of people are going to feel like Saquon Barkley going to just be, they going to feed him the ball. And he's going to be like, yo, listen, y'all traded me. You know, y'all wasn't blocking for me in New York. Now look at me. I'm on the Eagles. I'm doing my thing. It's going to be a long night for both teams. Let's actually check that.
They're playing in Philly or New York?
Let me see. I don't want to, you know.
I'll tell you this. There's nothing like, you know, New Yorkers hating on somebody they used to have.
They're playing in New York.
They're playing in New York. Yep, they're playing in New York.
There's nothing like New Yorkers hating on somebody they used to have.
Yo, this is going to be a crazy game. Yeah. I'm telling you, that's going to come down to the, yo, when I tell you the Giants.
Yo, how the Giants got close games every time?
Yo,
if you really look at the highlights and stuff like that, the week recap, right? Every single Giants game has been a one-score game.
Yep.
And every single Giants game was a bad call or a drop wide open pass.
Yep.
So in retrospect, these games all could have been won. As sorry as we are, these games all could have been won.
And the fact that they beat the Seahawks is crazy to me. I still can't believe that. I'm still kind of traumatized about that, honestly. They beat the Seahawks was like 4-2 or 3 they were smacking everybody and they beat them.
See, the thing is with the Seahawks is Geno Smith is throwing the ball more than any other quarterback in the league. That's why he has the highest passing yardage right now.
Yeah.
And any team that's playing the Seahawks, you should start that wide receiver right away because that's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be a shootout. So that shouldn't be a question. That should be a must start if you have a receiver. And that goes into me going back to the Eagles and the Giants playing. I think Wan'Dale Robinson is a great start for this week for that game with Malik Neighbors back. If you actually been paying attention, even in fantasy world and real life, Wan'Dale Robinson has been putting up solid numbers.
Yeah.
He's getting 20 points every week in fantasy. You know what I mean? So it only helps him, you know, with Malik Neighbors back. He's going to be wide open. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So I think that's if you own him, that's a good, you know, start.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy because not for anything, not for nothing. A lot of people may or may not have Wan'Dale Robinson. He may be on in the waivers for a lot of people still because a lot of people are like, oh, they got Darius Slayton. Okay, we got Darius Slayton. We don't need Wan'Dale Robinson, but he is a sleeper.
Yeah.
He and you know, I personally feel like, you know, Wan'Dale Robinson is like, I'm trying to think who I can compare him to from another team. Like he's borderline like he's a slot receiver, right? So I'm trying to think of someone who could be equivalent to him on the Giants, but like, I mean, nevertheless, Wan'Dale Robinson is a good pickup in the waivers. So, I mean,
He shouldn't even be owned right now. Be available right now. He should be 100% owned at least, you know, this week. You know, I can see leading up to this week. But leading up to this week, if he's still on the waiver wires, you should definitely go get him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I also want to kind of bring up another person on the waivers that I feel would be somebody good to pick up. Madison. Alexander Madison. He is another one because Zamir White has been
a bum.
I wouldn't go that far, but he's
been playing like a bum.
He's been playing like a bum. Yeah. That's better. He ain't a bum, but he's been playing like a bum. It's been off and on for him, and I personally
so much hype about him.
Yeah, and especially in the beginning of the season, they were like, "Oh, Zamir White this, Zamir White that," and I was like, "Oh, well, let me draft this dude." He hasn't been doing nothing. Madison, on the other hand, balling. Balling. So I feel like Madison is somebody that's gonna be forced to be reckoned with this, especially this next game. I forget who they play this week. Let me see something. Hold on.
I don't like that running core, anyways. I mean, I can't trust Madison anymore after he took over the role from on the Vikings and completely shit the bed.
But you can't say that though, bro, because I
lost faith in him. You know, it hit hard to me because I drafted him pretty high that year. He took over the starting job, and it was a major disappointment.
Okay, so they playing the Rams, who's 1-4. Yeah, and they're 2-4, so they're both pretty.
I think the Rams is getting cut back right?
Yes, he is He's questionable, but he's not. He's
trending.
Yeah, he's trending upward. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's going to be a pretty good game for Madison personally, but that's somebody I would pick off the waivers. Now, I mean, since we're talking about all these injuries, especially with Cup, I think we should move into our next segment, which is the injury report, which is I know everybody needs to know about. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a long one. So the injury report. Now, there's a few people I feel are worth talking about. For number one, I think the first person I would talk about here on injury report is Kenneth Walker. How do you feel about Kenneth Walker and his quote unquote illness?
Quote unquote. I mean, I don't know what he's got. He's got the flu or something.
I don't know, bro. When they say illness and it's not something that's like, you know, they just say, oh, it's an illness. That's generally like, come on, man. He's probably gonna play.
That's a must start. Geno Smith. He already throws the ball more than any other quarterback. Now you don't got Kenneth Walker with him.
Yeah.
Oh, that should be a pickup too if you don't own him. Charbonnet.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Charbonnet.
Yeah, that is another one. Yeah. Zach Charbonnet is a good one.
When Charbonnet, when Kenneth Walker was out a couple weeks ago, Charbonnet balled.
Yeah, but you know, Kenneth Walker's always, you know, off on when it comes to injuries. He's. I don't think it's been a season where he hasn't been injured for at least a week, at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then we also have a very, you know, I kind of want to do a drum roll for this, but you know, Tua, he's coming back. He should be coming back week 8. They're trending upwards for him for week 8. So. I know we were just talking about Tyreek Hill and, you know, Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane and that whole Miami offense. I think there's a positive light here now that Tua might be coming back.
It's positive for Tyreek. It's not really positive for Miami because let's just be honest, he's not an accurate passer. You know, even when he was healthy, you know, I seen a lot of underthrows. I seen a lot of overthrows, like horrible.
Maybe this year.
Yeah. Well, last year,
last year he was doing good. Last year, I think his passing rating was like, he was up there last year.
Yeah. Especially
in the beginning of the season.
When he comes back, that'll be a good thing for Tyreek owners.
he's like, at the end of the day, look, Tyreek is going to eat. That's it. Yeah. Okay, well, there's another person on the injury report that we have to keep an eye on, Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Now, he cleared concussion protocols for Monday, but, you know, all these people getting injured, I feel like, especially the Cardinals with Kyler Murray coming back, they got Trey McBride over there. I mean, the Cardinals haven't really been doing they haven't really been going crazy, but they haven't been getting beat that bad either. But, I mean, I say that. The Commanders, they smacked them that game. But I think Marvin Harrison Jr., he's a pivotal piece for that offense.
He is. He's expected to be. He hasn't lived up. He has, but he hasn't lived up to his full potential yet, and it just sucks that he got a concussion and kind of put him on a backtrack a little bit. But Arizona needs him.
Yeah,
they need him.
Absolutely, especially because, I mean, he's following his dad's footsteps. Excuse me. He's following his dad's footsteps. He's gonna want to perform. He wants to perform. He's a rookie, so he wants to do what he can. Especially him getting a concussion, I'm sure that hurt his ego a little bit because it's like, damn, man, I just got into the league and now I'm injured with a concussion, like, you know. And it just sucks, but you know, it is what it is.
Big leagues,
welcome to the big league, absolutely. So I do want to move on to the next team, and actually this game is going to be another big game, the Chiefs and the 49ers, right? So Jawan Jennings is out, but Jordan Mason is in.
Yeah.
So I personally, you know what, I kind of want to ask you this. Before we even go any further than this, who do you think is going to win that game? The 49ers or the Chiefs? Because that's going to be like a Super Bowl rematch almost. Not rematch, but it's going to be a Super Bowl caliber game. Yeah.
Well, it is a rematch.
Oh, yeah, but yeah.
Brock Purdy's been looking good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. He's been looking very good, and he's another guy who's been getting better and better every year once he got the job. And I want to see Chiefs take that L, man.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
And it's no hate to the Chiefs.
It's no hate.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
They're the other undefeated team, and they have a lot of controversial wins with these refs and bad calls and all that. So, with C-Mac out and everything like that, especially Debo out earlier, Brock Purdy's been spreading that ball around, and, he's been finding ways to win without certain star players.
Yeah.
And I think they got the weapons. Kittle's been balling this year.
Yeah, man.
Kittle's been balling. Kittle's been that guy in fantasy that you can only depend on come playoffs. During the regular season, he had regular mediocre numbers. This year,
he is balling, bro.
I think he's the number 2 or number 1 between him and Brock Bowers.
Yeah,
fantasy tight ends.
So,
I think I'm gonna give the edge to the Niners.
I want the Niners to win.
Yeah, I want them to win.
I want them to win bad because they want it. They really do. And that last Super Bowl was devastating to them, bro. Yeah. They were crushed because they worked for that one, and they couldn't pull it out. And it's just like anytime you play the Chiefs, it's like one of those things where it's like, the Chiefs is playing. We gotta play. Like, look at Lamar last year when he played the Chiefs. He psyched himself out before the game even started. He's like, oh yeah, it's always tough when you play the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. How you get on live TV before you play the game to say that?
The Chiefs is in their heads, dude. Like,
that's nasty.
The thing. Like, when you go into Arrowhead, or it's a different type of atmosphere there, and you can feel the aura of a 3-time Super Bowl team, and a 3-time Super Bowl quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. You can feel that energy there. So it psychs a lot of teams out and a lot of players out.
Yeah, man. And you know what's crazy? You know what? Now that we even wait a minute, I did not even bring this up. We should be talking about that. Well, who played last week against the Ravens? I think it was the Commanders, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a good game in itself too, because
that boy Jaden Daniels is balling. I got him for a steal in in the later rounds, like 12th round or something, bro.
That's wild.
That's wild.
How you got him in the 12th round? That's nuts.
Hey, you're in that league, so let me know.
Hey, listen, I picked up who I got. I ain't doing that bad. Like, I got Stroud, and who else I got? I got Stroud and somebody else.
If we talking about must starts, all Washington players are a must start this week.
Oh yeah,
against Carolina.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin. If you got Terry McLaurin,
yeah, scary Terry.
Start him.
Yeah,
start him.
Yeah. Austin Eckler.
If Brian Robinson Jr. clears gets off the injury report, he's definitely going to be a stud. So, and he's slowly taking over that number 1 role and getting Eckler out of there.
Hey, but hold on though. I feel like Andy Dalton not gonna roll over like no punk though. He gonna throw that ball.
Yeah,
he gonna be word. So you think you're just gonna come in here and roll over on my team? You crazy? He gonna throw that ball, bro. Yeah. And I think Deontay Johnson is a little bit on. He might be on the injury report this week as well. He's questionable, but he always kind of questionable.
Yeah, he's always
in and out.
Actually, I heard rumors that they're trying to trade him back to the Steelers.
Oh my God, man!
Yeah, just today, So we'll see how true that is, but I guess you're taking the L and just trying to rebuild. So just get rid of him. I don't know, but
yeah, and it's just so many teams with these injuries and so many like trades and movements throughout the season. And I kind of want to, before we move into the next segment here, because I want to make sure we cover everything here. But the Colts. Now we was talking about the Colts previously. Now the Colts, right? They 3 main wide receivers are down. They got Pittman, who's out with a back injury. We got Alec Pierce, who's out with a shoulder injury, and then we got Joshua Downs, who's limited with a toe injury.
Not to mention Jonathan Taylor's out.
Jonathan Taylor out.
The whole team is out.
What's going on? So this is why I go back to this question I asked before: the Dolphins or the Colts? Because it's a catch-22 because it's like who are you gonna pick? Someone who got nobody in a bad defense, but they blitz and they can hurt the quarterback, or someone who got all the weapons but no quarterback? Like, it's like, what do you do?
If I had to bet money, I'd go with the Dolphins just because every single body is out.
Yeah. Speaking of betting money, I think we should move on to our next topic here: ghost picks. In lieu of Halloween, we have our ghost picks, where we will be having some suggested picks. Now, these are suggested picks. To all my viewers, these are not quote unquote guaranteed wins. But they are suggested picks. The likelihood of you winning some of the bets are high, but if you lose, please do not come find us.
And if you win, send something our way, bro.
That is a fact. We take Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, whatever you
yeah. Yeah.
But I guess we could start with some money line. Let's start with I'm just gonna do a couple of games because I want to kind of get into a couple other things here before we wrap up here. But I think let's start with the Dolphins and Colts. You said you think the Dolphins you think Dolphins for the money line?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go Dolphins.
Now we kind of talked about some of these games anyway. So I mean, we talked about the Lions and Vikings. You said Lions, money line. Okay, so let's talk about.
We're talking about money line, right? And again, that's a whole nother aspect that comes in to watching football, other than fantasy. So that going back to the two games that you mentioned, the Green Bay and Houston, and then Detroit and Vikings, right?
Right.
There's got to be an underdog that wins this week, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'm still gonna go with my original picks. So as far as money line goes, I'm gonna go with Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one. Well, I'm gonna do these three because we didn't talk about these games realistically. So this would be good. Patriots in Jacksonville.
I wanted to talk about that game.
Don't worry, I'll wait. I'll wait for this one
because as far as the injury report, I don't think we brought this up. I think he's leading downwards. He's trending downwards. ETN.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Tank Bigsby is the guy, and I believe he's going to ball the fuck out because New England's defense is all injured.
Yeah.
Their entire defense is all injured.
Yep.
Not to mention
Drake May.
Yeah. Not to mention too, that boy's been balling. That rookie Brian Thomas Jr. He's been balling too. So money line definitely Jaguars.
And Evan Ingram is back. That's another one.
Evan Ingram is back. So.
Yeah, he had like 10 targets, I think, in the game before. It was either the game before or the game before that. I think it was last game.
If they can figure out how to get Christian Kirk more involved in the game, they're going to be a solid team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am inclined.
I won't go as far as saying like deep into the playoffs or anything like that. But they'll be trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know
well, they're 1-5 right now, so they're not. I mean, the Patriots got a better record. Well, they're both 1-5 actually. So that's not even. That's a toss up, to be honest with you. But the Jacksonville Jaguars should win that game.
But the league made it easier for teams like that with the extra games and the extra teams in the playoffs. So
right.
You could definitely sneak up in there as like a wild card or something like that.
Yeah. And then also, there's two other games I want to kind of mention. I would talk about the Seahawks and the Falcons because that right there.
Okay, I don't think that game gets enough credit, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. There's 3 made games to watch, and I add that as a third one because I expect that to be another shootout game.
Actually, yeah, you're right because what's his name? Christian Kirk. I mean, not Christian Kirk. Excuse me, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and my boy Drake London has been balling. So,
you know what? I have reservations about Drake London, though. I'm not gonna hold you because Drake London, he was kind of like under the radar, and he's the wide receiver 1.
He's my 3rd round pick,
bro. I know, but my point is, he is under the radar. Nobody's really like, we ain't looking for Drake. But he's balling, though. I ain't gonna lie, he's balling. But then, you know who's not balling on that team? Who is kind of heartbreaking to see? Kyle Pitts. What is going on with that dude, bro?
He did all right last week, I guess.
But he's not playing to the expectation of what he can, though.
And again, too, you got to remember, it's a new quarterback and a whole new team for Kirk Cousins. So there's still a lot of gelling and meshing they have to do and build rapport with each other. So I account that to that. But as far as Kyle Pitts, he's talented, but he hasn't been in the right situations the past couple seasons. So I think he's in a better situation now, and Kirk just got to use him.
Yeah, man. Darnell Mooney is another one on that team, bro. I feel like Darnell Mooney is someone who is under the radar.
That's the comparison that you wanted for Wan'Dale Robinson.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is what I'm talking about. See,
Yeah.
I knew that didn't even click until just now. So, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darnell Mooney, neck and neck.
Yeah.
Perfect comparison.
Yeah.
That is who, but he does deep threats too. He does a lot of deep threats. You throw that ball.
I loved him when he was on Chicago, and I thought that he wasn't on the right team. So I think this is a better look for him, and it's going to be a good game, I think, too.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks is just known for throwing the ball, and
it's going to be a shootout.
It will be a shootout just because of Geno having to throw the ball, but I think the Falcons are
probably gonna pull out one. Well,
they're gonna mop them.
Nah,
they're gonna mop them.
That's a drag. I don't know. But
they got no Kenneth
em.
Walker. All they got is DK Metcalf.
I don't think it's gonna be a mop up though. We gonna see. That's gonna be a good game.
Are you telling me Noah Fant's gonna get 30 fantasy points?
Not Noah Fant. That's crazy. But hold on though, because Kenneth Walker, I think he has an illness. He's not like he ain't break a leg. So you know what I'm saying. It's not like he's
the final injury report's out tomorrow. So.
Exactly. So if Kenneth Walker plays,
take some NyQuil. Yeah, take some NyQuil tonight and sleep it off. And
where he be all right. He wake
up, bro.
He be all right. Yeah. And then before we get into the last thing, I want to kind of talk about the Titans and the Bills. That's the next game.
Yeah. That's going to be a good game for Amari Cooper to show out.
Yeah.
And show why he was traded there. And everybody knows he's the number one guy, but solidify he's the number one guy. And I think that Josh Allen to Amari Cooper is going to do big things for that game.
Yeah. Especially if James Cook plays. I think he's
and James Cook is playing, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
That's gonna be crazy. So yeah, that was a good analysis of that, because I'm still thinking about that Darnell Mooney and
everybody was, it was right.
That was a good one.
And the thing too, like when Buffalo was coming in to the season, everybody was like, "Yo, they got rid of Diggs. What are they gonna do? They're not making any moves."
Yeah.
And then, bam, out of the blue, we got Amari Cooper.
I couldn't believe that.
I'm happy for him. Get out of there. You know what I'm saying? Get out of there. What did Stephen A. say?
Yo.
If they locked up the Deshaun Watson if they locked him up, I wouldn't be mad either. So
yo, I didn't even talk about the Browns. That's another game. The Browns and the Bengals.
Yeah,
the Bengals probably gonna smoke them though.
Yeah,
especially now that the
go pick up Cincinnati if they're on the waivers.
Pick up their defense.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, whoever you got, just pick them up. Yeah. That's crazy because the Browns are gonna get smoked.
Yeah,
but
pick up Cincinnati defense.
Yo, but yeah, I think we're gonna probably wrap this up. I do want to thank you so much for showing up and showing out for us, and being a guest on the show for us today. You're always welcome to come back, and this is the Playbook channel. But I do also, before we go, I do want to say, anybody who was affected by the hurricane in Tampa, please be safe. That was something I probably should have brought this up in the beginning, but that hurricane was very, very devastating to people in Tampa and all parts of Florida. Please be safe. Make sure that your families are good, and also FEMA, I believe, is offering $1,200 to people who lost power for more than 24 hours. So that's just us today, letting you guys know. But again, this is Derek Brown, and we got Mark here for the Playbook channel. Until next time.
Later.